Hi everyone, welcome to another book talk here at 8 Letters Bookstore and Publishing. I'm your host and book curator, Cindy Wong, and with us today is the author of Understanding the Self, John Joseph Zarate. John Joseph Zarate is the director of Pangasinan State University, continuing professional development. He holds a bachelor's degree in secondary education, major in biological sciences, graduated magna cum laude at Pangasinan State University, Bayambang Campus, and a master's degree in education, major in science at Pangasinan State University, School of Advanced Studies. Wow, that's a lot in in your portfolio, John Joseph. Welcome to 8 Letters.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation, Miss Cindy, and it's my honor to be here with you right now. I'm really looking forward to this interview, and perhaps a lot of our viewers will get to know more about the book.
Yes. So let's dive right into the questions. Firstly, for it's a textbook, right? Understanding the
Yes.
Self. Your textbook weaves psychology, philosophy, and sociology into a cohesive exploration of identity. Why did you choose these three disciplines, and how do they collectively illuminate aspects of the self that one field alone cannot?
Yeah. Miss Cindy, the very reason why this book actually weaves the three fields, particularly psychology, philosophy, and sociology, it's because the complexity of human nature is really difficult to understand. And there are so many people who, up to this point, are actually confused and are actually struggling in understanding themselves. Now, with the use of these three fields, let's say, for example, in psychology, it offers an insight on how we think and how our mind works. Particularly, this will help viewers, or the concept of psychology will help the readers, I should say, to explore their self more, particularly their self esteem and their self worth. I've also included the field of philosophy because this will somehow challenge the readers to think critically about themselves while incorporating and while using as basis the viewpoints of several philosophers. With the help of these viewpoints, the readers will be able to create a quality understanding of themselves, particularly in defining who they are. And lastly, I've included the aspect of sociology because, as we know, no man is an island. We are a part of a society, a part of something. And sociology will show social structures that definitely impacts and shapes who we are. So by weaving these three fields together, the readers of the book will eventually get to learn more about themselves and how the social construct affects who they are as an individual.
Yeah, we have very few nonfiction books here at 8 Letters, and what I really like about your book is you've also included exercises and real life examples to bridge theory and practice. I'm interested to know, how did you design these tools to ensure readers not only understand the self but also um, they can also actively engage with their growth? And can you share your favorite exercise and its intended impact?
All right, let's go with your questions one by one. So let's
One by
start
one.
with what made me decide to incorporate exercises in this book. I value the concept of learning by doing, and as an educator, I believe that learners or the readers will be able to apply and eventually live on what they have learned if they can practice and put into practice what they have learned. So I have included exercise and as well as lecture videos to ensure that learners are totally engaged. You know, the book includes 11 aspects of the self, and I'm pretty sure all the readers of this book will enjoy understanding more a part of themselves in these different constructs or in these different themes and aspects of themselves. So as they learn something, they get to apply it at once by making reflections. As an educator, I've seen that when you journal or when you reflect immediately onto what you have learned, then learning becomes more effective. And transformational growth and transformational education happens. So I think that's the prime reason why I've included exercise on the book. As to your second question, sorry, what was the second question again?
Okay, second question is uh, perhaps you can share with us a favorite exercise and its intended impact.
You know what I like most about the book is the exercise, or the exercise. Of course, I like every component of the book, but what I really love the most about the book is the component or the activity where you get to measure your stress. You know, in the
Yeah.
21st century, stress is a big, or let's say, a poison that's slowly killing each and every one of us. And whether we like it or not, stress is everywhere. So there is an activity in the book wherein you'll get to measure the stress level that you have at the moment. And then it will also help you understand how to deal with the stress. In fact, I have made an illustration on how you can liken or how you can compare your stress into a rough diamond or a rough stone until it becomes a diamond. So if you want to learn more about the particular component of the book, I suggest everyone to please get a copy of the book.
Yes. So make sure to get a copy of the book on our website, on our platforms, Shopee, Lazada, and also Amazon. Just a reminder. I feel like that's also one of my favorite activities because stress is everywhere. You're definitely right. Like every day, every hour, every well, not every minute. I feel like that there's a need to measure your stress level just to make sure. Okay, what's the trigger? But anyway, thank you for that for answering
Yeah,
that question.
yeah.
So the next one is you also write that relationships influence experiences and self-perception. I like this statement. How do you think the structures like family, culture, institutions, how do they act as both mirrors and architects of identity? Can we ever separate the self from these external forces?
Yeah, thank you very much. This particular phrase that you've mentioned about how we are influenced by our society or by our relationships. I actually gave so much importance to that simply because, as I've mentioned in my earlier statement, societal structures definitely shape who we are. Especially in the 21st century, we are actually a part, whether we like it or not, we are involved and a part of an institution, a family, friends, and especially let's include social media. No? As we try to discover more of ourselves, we get to understand how these external factors affect who we are. And whether we like it or not, we are surely influenced by them. Let me give you a concrete example of how these external factors affect who we are. Nowadays, more people are very much conscious about the view of others, or particularly, we live up to the standards of others. We are very much influenced on how they view us. And at some point, because of that, we try to please people, we become people pleasers. We tend to lose who we are along the way. In fact, there is what we call a problem in social media right now, that the 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 negative optimism or the false optimism about ourselves. So when we use social media, we wear masks and we hide ourselves in different constructs or in different personalities just to adapt to what's happening in the social media right now. We tend to live to what's the trend right now, even though it's out of our reach. And all of this, are affecting us in many ways. And you know, if we cannot live without these factors or without these influences, because without them, you know, we will be lost at some point. So it's important that we try to discover, or we try to completely separate ourselves and, you know, identify and value who we really are, so that along the way we don't lose our real perspective and the real self, our real self along the way.
I never really thought of it that way, but that's a good reminder of you're right. but how can I explain this? Being a publisher myself, I would just put in what I want, it, or how I want others to perceive me. I won't really put like the negative things. Maybe for me, or for me, it maybe it's a part of myself or part of my personality, but I don't want others to know that. And sometimes we try to balance, okay, what is true, what is, or what is real, what's not real. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Just a quick add-on, Miss Cindy. You know, we have what we call now an imposter syndrome, particularly in
Oh,
social media.
uh-huh.
So
Right.
we become imposters and we try to hide ourselves. We, as I mentioned, we create masks, and because
Mm,
of that, we lose ourselves all along the process. And as I mentioned, the weight of the expectations of the world is actually influencing us in a way that we how do I say this? We struggle and we even sacrifice our own happiness, our own identity. And losing your identity is actually very crucial and dangerous, particularly in our generation.
yes, I'm not sure what's gonna happen in the future generations. I mean, of course there's AI thrown into
Yeah,
the mix as
yeah.
well. Like, yeah, what's gonna happen in the future? That I am not sure. But anyway, talking about the book, understanding the self. It's, I believe this is one of the very important books that we have in our selection. It encourages critical self-reflection, which often requires confronting uncomfortable truths, like the one that I mentioned earlier, like, oh no, imposter syndrome. How do you balance fostering emotional wellness with challenging readers to face painful aspects of their identity? I think there's no other person who can answer that but you. So please.
Yeah. You know, I always look at ourselves as a cabinet with a lot of drawers. And more often than not, we only open up what is good. We only explore what is positive or what is beneficial to us. But, you know, in our schema, in our mind, deep within us, in our unconscious self, we all have a lot of traumas and a lot of bad experiences. Now, this book particularly helps you in the emotional aspect of yourself. There's a portion which will allow you to discover your emotional wellness. Right now, we all need a safe space. And whether you believe it or not, every person whom I've encountered is always telling me that they are looking for a safe space where they can just who they are. And, you know, part of that safe space is actually focusing on your emotional wellness. So
Mm,
by uncovering and by discovering, by talking about your traumas, your struggles and whatnot, we although it's really struggling to talk about your past experiences, particularly those that are not good, it's really a struggle, it's really painful, but along the way you have to face them, because
mm,
if we don't face them we cannot achieve emotional wellness. You know, transformation of the self requires understanding our pain, because hurting people hurt others. So
mm.
unless we deal with our hurts, with our struggles, then we can never achieve emotional wellness.
Wow. That's leaving me speechless. Joseph. But yeah, there's just too much thoughts running in my head right now. But one thing that I'm curious about is whether, okay, so your book is a textbook. Do you think students nowadays, how early should they read about or understand about themselves?
Sorry, I
Yeah,
lost you there.
yeah. Sorry. How early? Because we're talking about the textbook. Um, how early should students understand themselves, or this subject of understanding the self? Is this only learned when they're teenagers, or is there like an age range? Because I don't think I learned this in high school.
Yeah. To understand yourself involves maturity. So when we start to enter our mature level or our mature age, like for example, and I believe that's at our adolescent stage where we try to question and discover a lot of things. I believe as early as that stage, students and everyone should start discovering themselves, because if people delay discovering themselves or understanding themselves, there might be some problems along the way that we will regret later on and will cause us a lot of things that we can no longer reverse. So, as early as you become, let's say, you become, what's the right word? You become, uh,
Self-aware or
yeah, no, no, that's the self-aware. But when the moment you question, you start questioning a portion or an aspect of yourself, I think that's the right time. That's the time you start discovering who you really are. Because and yes, this is a textbook. This is actually one of the questions that I get a lot. Why did you start making a textbook?
right.
Honestly, understanding the self is now part of the curriculum in the undergraduate. But
Oh,
I think the way I've designed this book is not in a way a simple textbook where you can just
mm,
read and just read everything. No, it's actually more of a discovery book wherein every step of the way, not in an instant, everything will be spoon fed onto you, because you
yeah.
will be discovering things step by step. And what I really like about this book is that readers will feel so empowered. They will not be overwhelmed because I have divided it into chunks of learning
Mm,
where they can have self reflection. So, uh, as an educator, we I really put value in self reflection, because
mm.
it is through self reflection that we question and we grow as an individual. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So we're down to our last question. What transformation do you hope readers undergo by the final chapter? If someone finishes your book with one lasting insight, what should it be? I'm sure there will be a lot of insights, but maybe just yeah, perhaps one. This is to encourage our viewers right now to at least get a copy of the book. You don't have to be a student.
Yeah.
Maybe you just want to understand yourself better.
Yeah, that's correct. If there's one thing, or if there's one aspect or lesson that I would like the readers to take away from this particular book, it's actually transforming themselves and discovering their strengths and vulnerabilities. You know, often than not, many people believe that identity is fixed. But with this book, you'll discover that identity is never fixed. Uh, you will have a choice. No, in understanding yourself, you will encounter a lot of crossroads, and that this book will allow you to create or make healthy choices in life. And by creating healthy choices along the way in every aspect, you'll have a holistic growth and a holistic understanding of yourself. And when you begin to have that holistic understanding of yourself, then the transformation will now begin. The process of self-discovery is not only liberating, but
Mm,
it will be also deeply empowering. So I hope that the readers of this book will be very much empowered and liberated, and liberated from the stereotypes and from the
mm,
expectations of people, and just focus on who you really are as an individual.
mhm. Wow, I learned a lot from this talk. I just realized that just because I'm a Libra doesn't mean I have to act as a Libra, or just because I was born in the year of the snake, I should act as is. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing these valuable insights about your book and also these lessons as well with our viewers. John, to our viewers right now, please make sure to get a copy of Understanding the Self by John Joseph Zarate. It's available now on our website, Shopee, Lazada, and also on Amazon. Or you can also contact John Joseph directly. Thank you so much, John Joseph. Where can we follow you for your future updates about your writing journey and also about the book?
Oh, you can just simply follow me in my social media accounts. Of course, my Facebook, it's my name
Mhm.
itself, as well as my Instagram and other uh, social media platforms. Okay,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's very early to say, but I've actually mentioned this in some of the team under eight
Mhm.
letters, but I'm
Mhm.
actually on the process of creating my second book because after the release of this book, actually, there are
Mhm.
a lot of my friends who's actually waiting for the release of a certain book I'm finishing right now. So I hope you'll get to follow me and get to, uh, you know, um, appreciate what I
Mhm.
offer you through this book. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We're very much looking forward to your next book. But of course, um, please get a copy first of the
Yeah,
Understanding this, the first book. Ayun.
that's correct.
Yun. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for our viewers and hope to see you again on the next book talk. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.